Okay, so I've got this painting. I'm sending it to America. I've made sure that the glass has got, it's not glass, it's perspex, so it won't crack in the journey. I've bubble wrapped the picture. I've measured it. The picture is approximately 76 by 62 and a half. I've made sure there's a little bit of a gap. It's not quite 76, it's maybe 75 and a half. But I've given it a little bit of a gap so that I've got wiggle room and I can always pack it with cardboard if I need to stop it moving. So we're basically looking at 62 and a half by 76, and I'm going to build a cardboard wall to create the box of 5 centimeters wide. And so basically what we're doing is creating this sort of thicker area here that's sort of thick. It kind of works out about 6 sheets of cardboard to create the wall, and then the painting is going to sit inside there. So this is the painting sitting on top of the bits of cardboard here. This is just to kind of show you, it's basically 2-ply like that. It's a sort of double wall as it were, and I'm going to stick 2 sheets of that together at top and bottom, so it will be a lot thicker and stronger. And the gap that I've kind of created all the way around the sides here, I'm going to build up with these strips of cardboard, which I've marked out at 5 centimeters, and you can see that that comes up to about that size. Now when I do this, I find that I need to build this up more, then I can always add more cardboard, but at the moment I've kind of planned for about 6. It may well be, it needs to go to 7 or even 8. What I've got here is a sort of instant grab superior strength adhesive. You want this to be really strong, you don't want this to sort of delaminate while it's in transit. So I basically use this gun to lay down the glue. Okay, so you see I've laid the glue down and I've gone right around the outside. Now I'm going to just apply, I'll put on top the other piece of cardboard with the sort of shiny side facing out the way, making sure that kind of fits, and then press down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some books on top of this just to kind of keep it flat while I do the next one. So what we have here is the 2 pieces glued together. It becomes quite strong once that's glued together, and it's had about 15-20 minutes to dry. Like I say, it's an instant grab, so it should be, you know, fairly strong by now. What I'm going to do now is start building up these strips of paper, or cardboard, sorry, strips of cardboard to build up the wall. And so you can see that they're cut to length. They're just slightly bigger, so I can kind of cut them down. These ones here definitely will need cut down because they're much sort of longer, but that's fine. It just means that I can kind of make sure that they're exactly the right size. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to start gluing these together. So I've measured this and it's a little bit longer, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim that down a little bit. So you can see the amount I cut off there to make that fit was really minimal, but I'd rather have that than have it sort of hanging over. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to just apply a little bit of the glue. and I'm going to stick this right down at the edge. I will just leave that, and I'll work on this side as well and build this side up. So you can see here, what I need to do now is fill in this gap. So this is obviously a lot longer than it needs to be. So I just put that in there and mark it, then cut it down, making sure it's square. And then pop that at the edge over here. This will sit in here. I'll do the same to the other side. So I want to put some of the glue on this side piece. I'm also going to put, this is going to sit in here, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue just into here as well. You can see there isn't a perfect, it's not a perfect fit, there's a little bit of a gap there, but what's going to happen is I'm going to, later on, when I put another layer over, I'm going to cover that over so that it crosses it, so there's a kind of crossover effect where it will strengthen that whole corner. Now that the first layer is done all the way around, what I need to do is now build the second layer, and as I said before, what I want to do is then make this piece so that it just cuts, you can see it there, it just cuts right from this corner here to that corner over there, so covering up the little gap that we have here. And then of course the next piece will sit in there on the other side, and the bit that's in there will be shorter, and then the next layer of course will be longer again, so they'll be kind of overlapping across the corners like that the whole time, so that it, like I say, it builds up a nice sort of strength in the corners. So because this is laid down now, I've got the shape, I can actually just lay the glue straight on top of this. And then take the cardboard, and that's that side stuck, and I'll do the next side, and then we'll do the gaps in between. So now we've done the two side bits, what we want to do is to fill this gap that's in here, so we just pop the bit of cardboard in there and mark it. Making sure it's square. and that bit pops in there like that. So as before. A bit of the glue in there at the sides. And just pop that in there, press down. And we're going to continue like that, building this up, going right around, working our way around here, making sure the next one that goes across it will kind of cross over this bit here to strengthen that corner even more. And we'll just continue that up until we get to the desired height of the painting. So you can see we've got to the stage now where I've got the painting in. It's actually really quite snug, so I didn't need to pack it at all, but if there's a little gap I can always wedge a little bit of cardboard down there, just cut it and just put a strip along the edge. But in this instance it went in completely snugly. I had to kind of push it in a little bit in actual fact. I also had to add another layer, so I ended up with 7 layers, and the reason for that was that I didn't quite take into account the fact that this was slightly raised. So I've got the lid here, and the lid will sit on top of that, and it should sit fairly easily, touching the sort of sides there, without any kind of push down at all. What I'm going to do then is obviously, you know, before I send it, I'll have to make sure that I've put all the sort of invoices and packing information inside. And then I'm going to use the duct tape to start taping it, and I start to tape it by going around the whole of the picture and then right around the box, and doing the corner separately so that it is well packed, and then having it kind of all sealed up all the way around. Label in front, label on the back as well, and that's how I package up my boxes. Okay, so put the lid on this. I've got the invoices and things taped to the back of this lid, and what I do is I make sure that that's sitting on there square, so that there's no bits sort of sticking over the sides. So I just kind of just check that that's okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this thick kind of duct tape, and I'm going to just put some strips. I'll put some in the middle, and then I'll do the corners, and then I'll start to kind of fill in the bits in between. And basically I cut enough so that it will just loop underneath. So I'm doing this over the edge of the table so that I can kind of put this underneath here, and that feels like it's maybe a little bit short, but that's okay. Do it at the edge here. doing this, I'm checking to make sure that nothing is moving. It moved a little bit there, but I think that's fine. Basically what I'm doing is to make sure it doesn't move, so get it sort of fixed in place, and then I'll then work my way right to the edges. So I'm basically overlapping just maybe a quarter. So there isn't any gaps. Tiny wee gap here, so I'm just going to fill that. You can see that I've done this side here, and about to kind of work on this side first and then that side, and then we'll start looking at the corners, because at the moment I've worked right up to the corner here and I'll go right to the corner there, but there'll be a little gap and I need to basically cut it so that it kind of folds over, and then I'm going to tape it around this sort of side. So there's plenty of tape on here, means it's really well protected. The fact it's all done individually like that means that there are no bits will fail and the whole thing will unravel. It should all be, sort of fairly sort of robust and not fall apart. It's fairly easy to get into. Obviously, once it's taped up, you can just slice it along the top, and that lid will come off there, and it can be reused. That's the beauty of this, is it can be at least reused twice, to send a painting to an exhibition, and then to, the gallery or whoever it is that you want to get them to send it back will have something that's already ready made and strong, and when it comes back it can even be used again. I have used other boxes more than once if they're okay. Sometimes they need refurbished a little bit because they get a little bit bashed, but ultimately this is the good thing about this, is it's bespoke. It's made very much for the individual painting, so it's snug, it's tight, and it won't move around in there. You're not trying to fit a painting into a kind of general size box. This is made specifically for this painting. So what I want to show you is, you can see here that this bit's exposed. I've gone all the way around there. You can see how it's overlapped right around the whole picture, what I want to do now is to cover this up, and I'll just show you how I do that. What I'm basically doing is putting the tape on so it's half on the picture and half on the box and half over, and that's all the way around. So we have this left here, and I'm just going to cut it. Tuck that over, put that down like that, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'll be putting the tape half on, half off. And then that way we have completely covered that. What I'm going to do after I've done all the corners is to tape all the way around this way, right around the whole picture. So I've done the 4 corners and I've taped around twice. I had to do, because it was so thick, it was thicker than the tape, so I did the sort of top bit and then I did the bottom bit all the way around, so it's completely sealed. I've had to get another piece of tape, duct tape. I used a full roll doing that, and I'm not finished. What I want to do, this is actually the underside, the bit that you never saw when I was putting this together. This was what happens, it gets a very kind of irregular sort of shape in here, and it looks a wee bit untidy. So what I do is I just put some tape around here just to kind of finish it off both sides so that it doesn't look so ragged. So I just put like that. And that just kind of tidies it off, makes it look a little bit more professional. I'm going to do the same on the other side, and then that's the box basically ready to go. Just making sure that you kind of seal it down and stick it all down. Sometimes I'll leave it a day to see, just to make sure that none of this is sort of peeling back off. Depends on the type of quality of your tape. Sometimes it sort of laminates, comes off a little bit, so I just check it by sort of waiting a day or so. But it's now ready basically to put the label on. Put the label on there. I also put one on the back just in case something happens to that. I'll also put clear tape over the top of the label to make sure that that's also sealed, and there's plenty of space there for you know, your documents and things like that as well. And that's basically how I ship a painting. This is the completed box with the label there, and the label sealed up with cellophane over it with or clear tape. A couple of stickers on there as well, just to make sure. So, you know, in the end you end up with a box that's fairly robust and it's tight, nothing's going to move inside, and it should give the painting plenty of protection, including the fact that it's got bubble wrap in there as well to cushion it a little bit.